Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for putting us on your screens for yet another edition of the Live Wire on Inside UNC Charlotte. And for the next half hour or so, we have a very special guest, Dean Lynne Calhoun of the College of Education, who is on her victory lap here at UNC Charlotte after nearly 31 years, and you are retiring, but probably not fading into the sunset anytime soon. So we're going to spend the next half hour talking about Dean Calhoun's perspectives on the university. Remember, she's been here for nearly 31 years, and in that time, this place has transformed into what it is today. She'll have a lot of interesting perspectives that the half hour we've allotted will do no justice to that. So we could spend 3 hours talking to you, I know. But let me start with this question, and also encourage you to send in your questions by email or Twitter. But as you've been saying your so longs and see you down the roads and having wonderful send-offs, and is there anything left that you haven't had a chance to say, or anything you've been reminded of as you've been seeing all your old friends and colleagues in these settings and that sort of thing? Or are you looking back now and saying, yeah, I did it?
These last few weeks have been extraordinary, as have the last 3 decades. Yeah. But this has been a wonderful coda to a career that I've been very privileged to have experienced at UNC Charlotte. When you're in the middle of doing the work, you don't think about the work a lot. And these last few weeks have given me that privilege. When I've interviewed faculty candidates for positions at UNC Charlotte, and I've certainly done a lot of that over the last 14 years as dean, what I've often said to them is that UNC Charlotte, as a growing place, as a place with an expanding mission and purpose and an expanding size, is a place where you get the sense that you get to help to build a great university with your own hands. It's almost a tactile experience. And that's the feeling that I've had. Even though the university is dramatically different in every way, it seems, than it was 30 years ago, there's that same sense of possibility, of innovation, of energy in each of those 31 years. And that's become very clear to me as I finish up this time that I've had.
Almost, it sounds like it's more of a handoff on your part, right? I mean, you've
absolutely. Yeah. The work's not finished. Right. It keeps going.
Right.
It's like a river that keeps flowing, and I'm stepping out of the river. But boy, it's been wonderful.
Can you remember in any sort of vivid detail those first steps onto this campus back in 1982?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. A much smaller, more Spartan campus, and I'll share a couple of the memories of what it was like to experience the faculty life at that time. The College of Education was so small.
How small was it?
Without going into a lot of numbers, we essentially, as a faculty, could squeeze into the 3rd floor of the Culver building, which was kind of new at that time. The building opened in 1979, and it had lots of different academic units. The School of Nursing was on one side on the 1st floor, and the psychology department is still on the 5th level.
Sure.
And the College of Education was on the 3rd level facing the lake. And the whole college was on this one floor. And there were very few classrooms in that building. So I remember this stat, 88% of our classes were dispersed across the campus. So we needed to leave that building to teach. The high technology innovation at the time was the availability of overhead projectors, which we had to check out at a center in the Atkins Library and push across campus to wherever our classes were. So I'd stack up my demonstration materials, cart them to the library, check out an overhead projector for a night class, and push it across bricks, usually dropping folders and books, pushing the overhead projector, getting it to class, using my transparencies, pushing it back. Yeah. And so that was the working condition of an instructor. But you also need to know that the faculty offices were not an office that you would recognize. They were cubicles on that third floor in Culver at the time, that was an intentional philosophic decision of the College of Education, which was called the College of Human Development and Learning in that early years when the college was organized as a college level unit in 1970-71. And the philosophic decision was a beautiful one, which I admire, which was that we were a team that worked together, we shared in the work, we collaborated in the work. Those are values which I find energizing and wonderful. The day-to-day reality, of course, wasn't so fine. What's the work of a professor? To read and study and write, to counsel students, to deal with difficult issues. And in an open space with no privacy, that work's very difficult. Yeah. And so it wasn't a particularly helpful environment. One of the funny aspects of that environment was there's a walkway outside of the Culver third level with a glass wall and a sidewalk. And faculty from other units would walk by and they'd rap on the glass walls, often members of the psychology department, and just be amused to see how many heads would pop up from the cubicles to see who they could disturb at their work. But very soon after that building opened, the university needed to start renovating that space and putting up walls and moving toward more conventional office space. And the space wasn't designed for that, so it was awkward. Half of the floor became offices and they became shared offices, so it was unattractive space and not good offices. So a wonderful philosophical concept that didn't play out well. So you can imagine our delight when a new College of Education building was designed to the specifications of the work that we needed and wanted to do, and that building opened in 2005.
And that had to have been one of the professional highlights that you experienced in that. I mean, not too many deans or professors or really anybody have a chance to kind of be there at the development of that facility that will be for them and their colleagues and for the future. More often than not, you're sort of handed what you're handed, and that's how you spend your time and where you spend your time.
Yeah.
So
I would absolutely hold that up as a professional highlight, one I couldn't have anticipated or planned for, and when it happened, it immediately became apparent of how important and wonderful it was. The College of Education building was the result of the 2000 university bond opportunity that the citizens of North Carolina passed. And for new campuses like UNC Charlotte, that meant much needed capital construction was able to occur. For the older campuses in the system, much needed renovation. It was a transformational moment for the University of North Carolina's system. And in our case, the College of Education space that had been so difficult for so long meant that we could think together of who we needed to be environmentally. And it was a great opportunity. The campus gave us the privilege of having a dedicated space with our name on it, and to think together with the architectural firm to design that space. It scared me to death as a dean. I'm not an architect. I'm not a visual spatial person. But I'm so thankful that the architectural firm of Gant Huberman could take our words and translate them well. We did a lot of focus groups in the college with our faculty and our students and named what we wanted. And what we wanted was a warm, welcoming space with lots of natural light, and a place where future teachers could enter and say, this is a good space. This is a space that says, I've come to a place that values me, and a place where we can work together and where we can gather, not only for classes, but to do projects, to connect with our faculty, where we can study together, where we can work with our students, and that space was created. and I've told this story often, but I love telling it. When we first moved into to this College of Education building, it was in the spring semester of 2005. I was walking in the front door, and behind me were a couple of undergraduate students, and I heard them talking. And one student said to her friend, "I just love this building. It's so traditional on the outside, and so warm and wonderful and with it on the inside." And her friend said, "That's just like teachers." And I thought, oh, what a wonderful encapsulation of what we tried to do. The building is also located in kind of the new heartbeat of the campus. And then I think that says a lot of this campus's historic commitment to the preparation of educators. And I cherish that campus value.
That's great. This is Dean Mary Lynne Calhoun, and we're reminiscing with her as she is on her way toward retirement now, and as the academic year has come to its conclusion. These are the final few weeks for her on campus as dean, and we're going to look forward to seeing her around campus in the years to come. If you have questions, anything you'd like to bring up or we'll work into our conversation, please go ahead and send them in by email or by Twitter. You talk about the location being in the heartbeat, a crossroads really of campus. There's so much energy just right out there on the bricks, and that's kind of symbolic, I suppose, of how you're sending teachers out into the world and to be part of the heartbeats of their communities as well. And as of now, our College of Education produces the second highest number of teachers each year in North Carolina. Where were we back when you came here as a member of the faculty in 1982?
We were probably about 6th or 7th among North Carolina's 47 colleges and universities in teacher preparation. How we've managed to grow over the years has been contingent in large part on the growth of the university, but also we have found a really important niche at UNC Charlotte in looking at the opportunity for career changers, for college graduates from other fields to pursue teaching. The population base of Charlotte includes a lot of people that come here from other places, college graduates from other fields, and some of those fields have a lot of churn, corporate churn, for example. There are a lot of people that have spent the first part of their careers doing interesting work, but that may not be leaving them satisfied, who want to give back to their communities in new ways. And we've created graduate level pathways to teaching careers. A Master of Arts in Teaching in a number of teaching fields, graduate certificates in teaching, so that if a person has a baccalaureate degree in engineering or mathematics or English, a number of fields, and decides that they'd like to pursue teaching, we have a graduate level pathway for them. And in fact, about half of our new teachers come into the profession that way. It's a wonderful blend of undergraduate candidates who bring a strong passion for the work and youthful energy and commitment and a great preparation program as undergraduates. And then people that have done other things and bring some interesting workplace experience and life experience, perhaps as volunteers with children, as parents, who bring a different kind of look to the work. And that combination brings a wonderful cadre of new teachers to the profession.
And you've been involved then in leading the development of professional educators through a period that has seen just about every spot on the spectrum of happiness or spectrum of economic well-being and not so well-being, or there's been so much change up and down since the 80s or the 70s. and we don't need to go into great detail, because I think we all have a sense of that idea. I mean, it's been a challenging time, to say the least, to think about the role of teaching. But what are some of the constants, and what are the values that you have pointed to consistently throughout that era to say, you know what, no child left behind doesn't matter because you're still doing this, or here's how this set of values enhances us in a no child left behind environment, or economic upturn, downturn, or teachers aren't getting the fair shake they deserve, or unions, or whatever the outside factors that you're sending future teachers into. What are the constant values that you've instilled?
Stephen, could I just say I love that question? It's one that I love coming back to, because you're absolutely right. The external pressures from policymakers and legislators and economic forces have been intense and often feel kind of oppressive, and I think people that are doing this important work often feel oppressed and by them. But that constant value question is one we ought to be asking and answering. Let me offer this response. The evidence has never been clearer that access to caring, competent, well-qualified teachers is the single most important variable to successful, optimal futures for children and youth. And the best way to assure that access is for really fine educator preparation programs like the one we have at UNC Charlotte, to recruit and prepare and support wonderful educators. So our work is important. We need to recruit wonderful people, which we're doing. We need to give them research-based and supportive programs that are in partnership with the school districts in our area, that it's not ivory tower isolated, it's in direct partnership with schools that are that know what they're doing, and that we don't leave new educators alone when they leave us. And that work will change as we get evidence about what's working and what's not working, but it will not change based on critiques from people who aren't digging deeply into what's going on now. We need to hold up the value of the education professions, the teachers, the school leaders, the counselors. We need to work on making sure their working conditions are as fine as they can be in spite of economic challenges. And we need to value them as the professionals that they are, and then deal with the distractions.
Sure.
But hold up the work.
How important is it that such a large streak of the educators in our state, having come from UNC Charlotte, feel that bond, that connectedness throughout their careers? And are we where we should be in the sense of continuity as alumni? In other words, they're part of the education alumni community of UNC Charlotte, and therefore there's always somebody who's there to support them and have their back, and they can come and share their stories and learn from one another.
We as a college of education, specifically UNC Charlotte, and then more broadly colleges, schools and colleges of education nationally, have an increasing awareness that our connections don't stop when a diploma is handed out at graduation. The first 3 years of professional practice for teachers, as well as school principals, are critically important. The learning doesn't stop at graduation. A lot of professional accomplishment is solidified in those first 3 years. And school systems can't assume that a teacher knows everything a teacher should know at the beginning. We can't assume that a teacher knows everything the teacher should know at the beginning. We've got to partner in that beginning period of learning. We have initiated a number of outreach programs for new teachers. One that I'm particularly proud of is called First 3. It's a program of personal and professional support where we invite alumni and others who are teaching in the region to come back to campus once a month for seminars and social activities to learn from one another and to keep connected to our faculty, including some online support as well as face-to-face support. We have some support from the Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation to support this project. We're also engaged with the state of North Carolina beginning teacher support project for new teachers that are working in the schools of highest need in our region, and we're looking for more ways to do that. Our teacher recruitment office, teacher education advising licensure and recruitment office, initiated a new project this past year that I just love. It's a College of Education pennant project where they sent a College of Education alumni pennant to every alumni who's teaching in a North Carolina public school to put on their wall to encourage those teachers to talk about the College of Education. Wow. And encourage their students to consider a career in education. So thousands of pennants. We have about 7,000 alumni teaching in North Carolina schools, and we're having a photo contest where the photos of those pennants in classrooms are being sent to our College of Ed Facebook page, and they're wonderful. So we're getting some buzz. We think it's a great recruitment opportunity for the next generation of teachers to be thinking about their great teachers, and that young people in elementary, middle, and high school might think about coming to UNC Charlotte to become teachers in the future. Yeah.
You did your graduate work at Georgia, and you made a couple other stops before you came here. You even spent some time in my home state of Michigan, way up north.
Yeah.
Did you come to Charlotte thinking that you'd stay here as long as you did?
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. This is a bit of a labyrinthine story, but I think it's kind of interesting. My husband, Lynne Calhoun, who's been a professor of psychology here since, wait for it, 1973.
Wow. Wow.
And I married right out of college. We met as camp counselors during our college years and supported each other through graduate school, and we were both at Georgia together. And Lawrence was a couple of years ahead of me and finished his PhD in psychology. And he made the commitment to do a job search with a psychology PhD, either at a university where I could transfer, because I was about halfway through my PhD in special education, where I could finish my PhD, or a place where I could commute to complete my PhD. And he had several wonderful job offers, and one of them was in the psychology department at UNC Charlotte. We pulled out a map of the southeastern United States and saw that there was a good highway between Charlotte and Athens, Georgia. And so Lawrence chose UNC Charlotte because of the highway between Charlotte and Georgia. And so the intent was that he would stay here 2 years, and I would commute between Charlotte and Georgia to complete my PhD in special education. That's the story. By the time I completed my doctorate, Lawrence had caught the UNC Charlotte fever. He was getting to help build a department of psychology and was loving it. Yeah. And we both loved Charlotte. There wasn't an opportunity in my field of special education at the time. There was no program in special education in 1973. And so I did my job search with a commuting range of Charlotte and accepted a position at Winthrop University in South Carolina and taught there for several years. And then a few years later, there was a faculty position opening up at Charlotte. And I applied in a national search. This was not a spousal accommodation. I applied as just a regular applicant and was fortunate enough to receive the position in 1982, several years after Lawrence joined the faculty. So we have been so lucky to have built careers here that we've loved. And we thought this was a 2-year stop along the wayside to something else. And we have gotten to be part of UNC Charlotte for decades.
And the rest has been a fascinating, winding, positive, upward trajectory history since then. Yeah. And maybe just as a final thought, when you think back to the Mary Lynne Calhoun who first set foot on this campus in 1982, and the Mary Lynne Calhoun who is leaving as dean in 2013, and who will be welcome back with open arms anytime she comes back by to visit or get involved in anything on campus, maybe in some other discipline, who knows. What's the same about those two people? What has stayed constant about you over 31 years, and that will go with you now?
What stayed the same is this sense of feeling very fortunate to get to do work that I love, that's meaningful, that serves the greater good, that serves the community, and to work with people that share these values.
That's great. Well, that's a great place to stop, because I think those are words that all of us who hear them are going to keep with us and try to apply them to the work we're doing as well, and to be as grateful as you exude gratitude, I think, for the people around you in the situation in which you are fortunate to find yourself, and I think the rest of us should be doing that more often too. So on that note, we will say thank you for tuning in today for this edition of the Live Wire on Inside UNC Charlotte, and we will say thank you again to Mary Lynne Calhoun, Dean Mary Lynne Calhoun, for joining us for this segment. And for those of you here in the campus community, be sure you take a minute and come find her and say thank you to her for all of her service to the university, and then tell her how much we'll all enjoy seeing her again through the coming years. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Stephen.
All right.